Hey, good evening, everybody. What's up? Welcome to another edition of The Breakdown. I'm here with Eli, who has put together a freaking awesome site called Degenalytics. A lot of you have already seen it on Twitter. So he is a master at a lot of data stuff and also a lot of player props. Pumped to have you tonight, man. Thanks for joining me.
Yeah, man, appreciate it. Means a lot to be on here. I think you were actually the first person after Ryan tweeted something about the site that followed me, and I was like, oh shit, this random guy that I have no idea who he is. He has like a lot of Twitter followers, just like followed me and like cares about what I'm doing. So I appreciate the support really since day one, and truly it means a lot to be on the show. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I love the data, and what you've been able to do with it is pretty sweet. So
Yeah, man.
I
Thank
was
you.
in once I went to the site and saw what you were doing. I was in for sure. So all right, well, we got 8 games to get through here, so we're gonna dive in, and obviously we'll talk some Indiana Pacers when we get there because we've even got Pacers jersey going. We both are in Indiana, so lots to talk with Pacers. But first up, we're going to talk about the Hornets at the Cavs tonight. Cleveland is -4, and the total is 218. Last time that I looked, Darius Garland was still a game time decision. If you have any other info on that, I think that is important. But not sorted out yet. So what do you think about this game, man?
Yeah, man. This is tough because it's it's two teams that are hard to get a read on to me, right? Like,
Yeah.
I think Cleveland with Garland is a really good team. I think Garland is potentially the most underrated point guard in the NBA, maybe. Um, I love the Mobley and Allen down low combination. Allen is a reborn. Allen is a rebounding machine. I think Mobley's going to turn into something really special, but without Garland, they kind of stink.
Yep.
And Charlotte, like Charlotte's a team to me that you look at the lineup and you look who's playing, and you're like, man, this team should be pretty good, but it's just completely dependent on what team shows up on any given night to me. Like Melo obviously is gonna be special. He's doing some crazy things already. I think Miles Bridges is a really good piece. So I don't see Garland playing tonight. I did see that Brittany Renner was doing some crazy stuff on Twitter or something, which I think means that PJ Washington may or may not go off tonight.
Okay.
But without Garland, and again, I don't think he's going to play tonight. I would lean Charlotte with the 4 points, but like I don't know, man. This is a tough one.
Yeah, I agree. So when I first looked at this game, and honestly, like I picked Charlotte, what was it, a couple days ago, and then I even tweeted out like, why the hell would I ever pick Charlotte?
And they
So
just shit the bed, right?
it feels like a team like you said that is really hard to trust. A few of the stats here, like you said, Charlotte, you look at their lineup and you think they should just be awesome offensively. But I look back at their last 10 games and they scored 158 against Indiana, 141 against Detroit. But the other 8 games, they've
Those two
averaged
teams don't play defense.
Exactly.
Sorry. Yeah.
And they've averaged 110.2 in the other. So like not horrendous, but not great. One of the other things I was looking at here is that Charlotte is one of the top teams in terms of fast break points, number 2 in the league. And if you look
lots
at
of turnovers.
Yeah, lots of turnovers, lots of fast break points. So, but I went and looked at Cleveland when they've played other teams that are in the top 8 in fast break points since January 1st, and they are 5-2 straight up. Now, obviously, a lot of those games are with Garland, and so that feels like a defining factor to me. I actually just have not felt good about Cleveland with Garland out. I mean, Kevin Love can go off for 25 like he did the other day, but what if he doesn't? Like where's the scoring
exactly
coming from?
where does the offense come from? Like you look at that lineup without Garland, and like Okoro is not a threat to score. Markkanen is a spot up 3 shooter, and a pretty good one, but he's not going to beat you off the dribble. Mobley and Allen both, like I said, I think are really good post presences, but they don't have anyone on that lineup that can beat you off the dribble. And I think in today's NBA, like that's really important. And you look at the Charlotte side again, who I'm with you on. I can never trust, but they have 3 guys on the court that at any given time that can beat you off the dribble and can get to the rim and can make things happen.
Create their own shots. Yep.
But if they don't show up, though, they just, they lose by 30.
Right. I mean, honestly, it's one thing I was thinking about with Charlotte the other day is like, if I'm going to pick Charlotte either way, do I just like pick an alternate spread? Because it seems like they either, win big or lose big. So,
yeah.
But this is a game I probably will stay away from.
I would stay away from picking an outcome in this game as well.
Yeah.
I think.
And even the total feels tough because, like I said, Charlotte can explode, but then a lot of times they don't. And I do think without Garland, I lean toward Cleveland not being able to score a ton. So I mean, if I was going to do anything, I'd lean toward the under, but I don't feel confident about that either. So
no.
Do you have any props in this game that you're interested in?
I do.
All right, give us that, man.
I am all over Jared Allen tonight.
Okay.
So if you guys haven't checked out the djanalytics.com website, we're all about taking not just looking at the defense versus position, like at things that, and I'm just going to do a quick intro.
Yeah, do it. Please do. Yep.
Not just looking at defense versus position, right? How do teams defend the point guard versus the shooting guard versus center? But differently than sites like Fantasy Pros and like #basketball does it. They're looking at total threes, or total points or total rebounds versus a point guard or a shooting guard. But that doesn't account for the player themselves, right? So like a team that's played Golden State there 4 times already in the Western Conference is going to have an inflated number of threes and points scored against them versus a team like on the East in the Eastern Conference who hasn't played Golden State yet, right? So djanalytics.com is all about looking at the player's season average and how they have performed against each team in relation to their average, right? So if we look at centers versus Charlotte, especially since 1-1, centers are scoring 2.1 points more than their average. And they're also getting 1.9 more rebounds than their average. So that's the 4th ranked in points since 1-1. And it's the 2nd ranked in rebounds. Last 10 games, I tweeted out. Let me find it real quick. Last 10 games against Charlotte, centers are scoring an average of 17.9 points and 12.5 rebounds. And that's including a couple of outliers there, like Kim Birch played like 20 minutes or 18 minutes and got 4 rebounds, 1 point. If any of my followers are in here, Isaiah Stewart, they'll laugh about that. Isaiah Stewart also had 7 points a couple games ago, but
I saw you posting beef stew stuff yesterday.
So. We're not going to talk about it, man.
Okay. All right. My bad.
Move right on from beef stew. Okay. Right. Getting beat by the Hook 2 games in a row. It's fine.
Oh, man.
But so all in all, centers have been destroying Charlotte. They've been destroying Charlotte for most of the season, especially since 1-1 and really especially in the last 10 games against Charlotte. And these 2 teams played on February 4th, and Jared Allen scored 29 points and 22 rebounds. I don't know if those were season or career highs, but they've got to be close. So what I'm on for 1U earlier today, it was -106 is just a small SGP. Jared Allen for 15 points, 10 rebounds. Data supports it all the way around the board. I can maybe see him getting into foul trouble if Melo is attacking him like crazy, but I feel really good about Jared Allen 15 plus and 10 rebounds. I don't know what those odds are at anymore, but earlier, a couple hours ago, they were at -106.
Awesome. It's good stuff, man. And I mean, generally, like Charlotte just doesn't have interior defense, so it makes a ton of sense. Plumlee and then even Harrell, who maybe helps him a little bit, but not against somebody like Jared Allen. So, All right. Awesome. Well, that's a good pick on this because I don't think there's much there on the sides and totals. So next up is the game of the day, the people's game of the day, the Pacers at the Magic. Indiana has flipped from +1.5 to -2.5
Brogdon,
because of their dominance also. And the total is 231.5. What do you think here?
Yeah. So Pacers team that I'm excited about for next year. I for a long time, really since like Roy Hibbert was good at basketball, they've been an all-star quality center in Domas and like 4 other guys, which just doesn't really work in today's NBA. I think to some extent you were seeing that in Philadelphia the beginning of this year, right, where they had an MVP quality center and kind of just 4 other guys and still in the top 4 of the playoffs. But I think a lot of people would say maybe underperforming a little bit. But anyway, Very excited about the Pacers. What Halliburton is doing. Like he's averaging like somewhere around 10 or more assists since he got to Indianapolis, with no, like, the second best scorer on the floor with him at any given time. Most of the games was Buddy Hield.
Buddy Hield, yeah, exactly.
Like, come on, man, that dude is special, and given given the primary ball handling role for the first time really in his career, kind of outside of De'Aaron Fox's shadow, who I love also. I think he's going to be special. I don't think they're there yet, but also, like, this Magic team just stinks, man. Like, you look at this lineup and they are super young, like the Pacers are. I was looking, like, I feel like Wendell Carter Jr. has been in the league for like ever. I looked today, that guy, he is 22 years old. Did you know that?
Dude, he's an old soul.
That guy,
I didn't know that he was 22, but I knew it hadn't been too long because I think he was only in Chicago for what, a year and a half, maybe, if that.
So I think this is like his 4th or 5th year in the league, but I just feel like he's a veteran and been here forever, right? He's 22. So anyway, the Magic right now, they stink. They also, Markelle Fultz coming back, I think, is going to help them. Cole Anthony looks like he might be a guy at some point in his career. Suggs on any given night can be good. The Wagner brothers are who they are. Mo Bamba, I think, is potentially a really good piece too. But anyway, I think for the rest of this season, if you're picking either one of these teams to cover or outright, like, you might just have a gambling problem. You know what I mean? Like,
I might have a gambling. No, I didn't place any bets yet, but I'm tempted. So
I do. I'm legally not allowed to bet on the Pacers money line or spread. Being a diehard Pacers fan, like, that's just the law. Gun to my head, I do think I would like the Pacers to cover 2.5 here. And, honestly, the money line minus 142 on FanDuel right now doesn't look bad to me, because these two teams did play Sunday, and it was a close game. And they did not have
Brogdon. 16. Indiana lost 119.
It was a close game. Close game for 3 quarters with no Malcolm Brogdon, who I really have not been that big of a fan of for a minute on this Pacers team. But you move him to his natural shooting guard position, and really that frees up Halliburton a lot as a legitimate additional offensive threat to score the ball. I think for this Pacers team, Malcolm Brogdon being on the floor in that 2 spot helps them a lot. I think I would honestly probably lean money line at minus 142. Gun to my head again, but I wouldn't bet on either of these teams spread or money line the rest of the season, because you just never know.
Yeah, they're super volatile. I agree. Yeah. So, I mean, a couple things on this game that I think are just interesting. Well, Lance Stevenson might not play game time decision, so that's a game changer, buddy. No Lance Stevenson
born ready
on the sidelines, but more serious things. So, Indiana's allowed 119 plus in 7 of their last 10 games. So there's just no defense right now. And Brogdon might help a little bit there, but I don't think they have any defense. They've scored 112 plus in 8 of their last 9. So Indiana's just been playing incredibly high scoring games. And you can see it reflected in the total here. 231.5 is a big total. I actually am slightly tempted by the over here, just because Indiana's going to have a game here and there that's lower totaled, but like you said, with Brogdon playing, I think that helps them offensively. I think Markelle Fultz is a nice addition. And Orlando scored 119 both of the last 2 games against Indiana and Houston, 2 of the worst defenses in the league right now, but Indiana's defense isn't magically going to be better. Maybe when Miles Turner comes back, that could help if he comes back. But I think that this is just, I haven't bet it because that total's so high. And Orlando's a team that traditionally this year doesn't score a lot. And so that kind of scares me off of it. But I do think, if anything, that's what I would look at here, just because of the track record.
So just a real quick interesting stat here. I do have a prop on this here in a second, but it's dropped a little bit, and I'm just looking at it again here. The first couple games with Tyrese Halliburton and Buddy Hield on the floor. You familiar with the pace statistic and how that's measured? It's like a pace is for, if anybody who doesn't know, the measure of pace is how many possessions on average per 48 minutes. So like I think before this trade and bringing Halliburton in, the Pacers were probably playing at like a I don't know, 95, we'll say 95 a pace, or 95 possessions per 48 minutes. The fastest playing team in the league is Charlotte. I think their starting lineup at one point a couple weeks ago was playing at like 102, 103. And that's really high. Like 100 a pace, 101 pace is really high. After the first couple of games of Tyrese being here, the Pacers starting lineup, take a guess. What do you think their pace was?
101 and a half.
114. It's not that anymore.
Geez.
It's not that anymore. It's like, I think it's like 101, 102.
Holy crap.
But they get up and down the floor. They put a lot of shots up. Whether or not those shots go in, it depends on, what any given night, and if O'Shea Brissett remembers how to play basketball. But so just supporting they score a lot. They don't play defense. Yeah. So I think the Pacers over, all the rest of the season might be at least a good starting point.
Something to look at least.
Yeah. Take a look at it.
One other thing I was going to throw in, just supporting what you were saying about Halliburton. So I went and just did the math since he came to the Pacers, and he's averaging 10.1 assists a game since he came to the Pacers.
Nuts.
So, and the two games,
Buddy Hield as his second.
Yeah, exactly. And the two games he played with Brogdon, he had 11 and 9. So right in that same range.
And a lot of Halliburton assist bettors were worried that Brogdon coming back maybe hurts his assist, but I think it's the opposite.
Yeah, I agree. It's another scoring option. So
the only one, but Buddy Hield is developing. Like they first brought Buddy Hield, and I was like, okay, let's flip him, see if there's anybody we can get back from him, immediately. And he's developing his game. He's making some plays now. He's turning into more of just a spot shooter. But yeah. Anyway, we can move on.
Well, hey, before we move on, were there any props you wanted to throw out? Is there anything on this game you want to do?
Yep. So I'm all over, and for a lot of the same reasons I was on Jared Allen against Charlotte, I am all over Wendell Carter Jr. at over. I don't know what it's at right now. This morning he was at over 17.5 for literally even money plus 100. I think right after that, somebody tweeted me and said it had dropped to 16.5 for like minus 120 or something like that.
That makes sense.
Since the trade deadline, when the Pacers obviously got a lot smaller, a lot faster, power forwards are scoring 4 more than their average. So power forwards are kind of really going kind of crazy on the Pacers. You look at the Pacers starting lineup, and they really just don't have an answer for Wendell Carter. He's probably going to have either O'Shea Brissett or Jalen Smith guarding him most of the night, who just are not big enough, not strong enough to be able to keep him from doing what he wants to do. Mm-hmm. So Wendell is averaging 17.9 in his last 10, 18.8 in his last 5, and 20 against the Pacers. Those are 2 games where he scored 19 and 21. I do think this is a competitive game where he's going to be involved, and he has to be involved if the Magic want to keep it close. So I'm all over Wendell Carter over 17.5 points. I got it at even money for 1 unit. If it's 16.5 right now for like minus 120, I would feel good about throwing 1.5 units or something like that on it. But
I just looked it on FanDuel. It's 17.5 at plus 100. So it's where you got it earlier today, is where it is on FanDuel. Anyway.
That's a 1U play on my card.
Yeah. Awesome. I'm going to join you on that one, man.
Right
I don't do as much with the player props. I follow people like you and a few others on Twitter, to guide me. But I do think like any bigs playing against Indiana, I'm going to at least give a look. Right.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
All right. Next up, we got the Knicks at the 76ers. The 76ers minus 10.5 and a total of 223.5. The Harden show is back in Philly tonight. What do you think for this game?
This is another interesting one, man. This is a Knicks team that's honestly kind of like this Charlotte team in that, if they all decide to play hard and remember how to play basketball, they can compete with anybody, but most of the season they haven't. It's a Sixers team who is obviously was good already. And then you add at least a former MVP candidate in James Harden. James Harden, by the way, looks like he wants to play basketball again, which he really didn't for a minute. I don't know how you have to be motivated to play basketball hard when you're making millions and millions of dollars to play basketball, but we won't talk about that. So like 10.5 is just a lot of points to me on the spread. I don't know what your thoughts on it. Gun to my head on this one, I think maybe I would lean Sixers to cover that. But like I said, if Julius Randle decides to play basketball hard tonight, then they could give them a run for it. I think.
Yeah,
Sixers obviously better team. Obviously,
totally. Yeah. So this is one where I like. There's some where I have more, and there's a couple I have almost nothing. But this one I have a little more. A little bit of interest. I agree. Like we haven't done this show together before, but it takes a ton for me to bet any team pre-game at more than a 10-point spread. Yeah. I know that it can happen, but like the back door is always a possibility. Like you said, if the Knicks just play decent, maybe they keep it closer than that, even if Philly has it in hand the whole game. So the spread I'm not as interested in, but there is something on the total I'm interested in. So a few things on that. One is, well, this is just something interesting. So last game, when these two teams played each other a couple days ago, they combined for 79 free throw attempts. Yeah. The Knicks shot 62.9% on 35 attempts, and Philly shot 88.6% on 44 attempts. So it was a 17-point difference in free throws, and Philly won by 16. So if the Knicks just shot, I mean, they might not have won still, but if they had just shot better from free throw range, it would have been a closer game. So that speaks to that thing of like not loving the spread. But here's where I'm at on the total. Like, obviously, Philly's not going to go out and score 120 plus points every night. But in the two games with Harden, they've scored 125 and 133. I do think they're going to be a much better offensive team. And New York just hasn't been good defensively lately. So in their last 14 games, home road split defensive rating, 112.8 at home, which still isn't good compared to what they were earlier in the year, but 115.7 on the road. So they're just not playing defense. No. I think it's possible they show up offensively. Who knows? But I don't think they show up defensively. And I think that Philly, this is like a train I want to ride for now, because eventually their totals are going to get adjusted up more. So their team totals at 116.5 for tonight. And I like Philly's team total over 116.5.
Yeah, I think I would love that too. It kind of on that note, like, so I didn't end up taking this, but earlier today, I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, and he's still there. James Harden is at 24.5. And I honestly, I might still end up taking that. Like he has not even been, let me look at it. He's hit that pretty easily in both of his first two games in Philly. And the Knicks, like you said, are not playing defense since 1-1 point guards. And you can make a debate point guard, shooting guard. He's the primary ball handler to me with Maxey on the floor even.
Maxey's almost more of the shooting guard lately.
Yeah. And so New York is allowing the sixth most points to average since January 1st at 2.5 to point guards. So I've been looking at Harden's point line a lot, and something that I think is just similar to their team total, and that it's going to go up over time because, I don't know if he's going to score less than 25 points the rest of the year in Philly. We'll see. But
yeah, I love that too, man. I mean, I don't love James Harden, but
no,
I think in a new situation, he's motivated. He's going to get so much usage, and he has someone like Joel Embiid to play with. It's just a great spot. His assists too. I mean, his two games in Philly, he's had 12 and 16 assists. Yeah. So I don't know what your info would be on that, but that's just another thing I'm going to be paying attention to.
I tend to. There's so many unknown variables with assists that I have to really, really like an assist line. Okay. But yeah, I think his rebounds potentially also disregard that. Never mind.
Okay. Yeah, the assists, like I see you and other guys tweet footage of games and be like, how is this an assist for this guy or whatever? And it's pretty shady sometimes.
So you're relying on, with assists, you're relying on one. Like I bet on Luka. Luka had a really good assist line. I thought a really valuable one. It's been like a month or so ago. that he's averaging more than this. He's hit it and then all of a sudden, the one night I take it, he decides to shoot the ball 40 times and not pass the ball. So you're relying on that. You're relying on that not to happen, and you're also relying on whoever they're passing to actually hit shots, right? So I tend to stay away from assists, but yeah, I think when I was looking at Harden's assist line, it did seem too low to me.
Okay. Yeah, just something I was, again, not something I'm an expert in, but something I was interested in looking at. I wonder, even with Harden, do you ever do like points and assists together?
I do.
Because that might be a look with Harden too. I don't know what that line's at.
Yeah, so his points and assist line right now is 35.5. And so his first 2 games, he said 39 and 45. So it really hasn't been close. Yeah. I think he very easily could drop 30 on the Knicks tonight if the game stays somewhat close. So then you're basically just relying on 6 assists at that point, which he's got 12 and 16 in his first 2 games.
Right. Right. That's what caught my eye when I just looked at his game log. I was like, man, it's a lot of assists. So
yep.
All right. Well, good spot.
Roll Embiid, right?
We'll, check out Harden points there, and potentially that either over Philly team total over whatever. I don't hate the over in general either.
I might be on that team total with you. I might be on that team total with
you. It feels like one of those things sometimes in the NBA, like, a week or 2 weeks from now, we look back and go like, oh, of course they score, 115 plus pretty much every game now, but we're just not there yet. So, all right, next game up is the Heat at the Bucks. Milwaukee is -4.5 here against a Heat team that I think is 8-2 over their last 10, been playing relatively well for the most part, 224 total. What do you think about this game?
Obviously, Giannis is Giannis. Milwaukee is a very good basketball team. Like you said, Miami's been hot. I don't have a whole lot on this game. It does seem like the last couple of weeks, at least, the Bucks haven't been playing very good defense. So I'll let you talk to that a little bit. I don't know. Miami covering the 4.5 probably is where I would lean, but also like the Bucks, even at I probably would stay away if it were me. But I'll let you. Let you go for it.
No, and I don't have tons on this game. Milwaukee is one of those teams, like some of the others we've talked about on this slate already, that are just hard to trust. Yeah. Like, because if they sucked all the time, that's fine. That's easy to bet. But when they can suck for a game or two and then come out and score 135 and win by 20, like, it's just hard to know. But
Oladipo's coming back soon, though, man.
Oh boy, look out! So I mean, I like betting the Heat a lot, and Heat at plus money to me is almost an auto bet, just because, like, if these two teams play this game 10 times, I think the Heat win it outright at least 5.
Yeah.
So if I'm getting plus money on something that I think is a coin flip game, to me, that's not a bad bet. The other thing, though, that I like to pay attention to sometimes in situations like this is in the NBA, if Milwaukee gets a lead at any point in this game, like right now, sorry, let me pull up what the money line is, unless you have that in front of you.
Money line is 166 to Miami, 198 to the Bucks.
Yeah, so 166 now. I'd be interested in letting Milwaukee get a 5 to 8 point lead and betting it at over plus 200.
Yeah.
So that's something I'd be interested in. To your point about the Bucks and defense, what I like to do sometimes is even go back and look at the defensive rating game log, because averages can throw you off the scent of what's actually happening. So their last game, defensive rating 104.4 against Charlotte. That's pretty good, but we talked about how Charlotte can be so inconsistent. But before that, it was 124.5, 123.1, 116.6. I mean, you have to go back to the 5th of February to find another game with a defensive rating under 110. So this is just a team that isn't playing a lot of defense. They can score. So
I mean, that was the first game that the Pacers played with Tyrese, and they scored 49 points in the first quarter.
Jeez. Yeah, just insane. So I haven't actually bet it yet. I'm going to look at taking Heat money line live when it gets to over plus 200. And then I like the over okay here, but I can't count on Milwaukee to show up, so I probably won't bet it.
Yeah.
Any props for you on this one?
I didn't end up taking anything. Something I looked at really hard. Let me find it again. Jimmy Butler points has a pretty good matchup. It's a guy that he either scores, he's either close to 30 or he's like at 15, and it lines at 21.5 right now. So I ended up staying away just from a consistency standpoint. I do like the matchup with Milwaukee. Small forwards averaging 2 points more than their average since January 1st, which is the like 8th ranked. So, you know, if you're trying to do like trying to get a plus 100, plus 150 same game parlay here, something like a Jimmy Butler 20 plus, and then the Heat on an alt spread like plus 8 or something might get you close. That might be worth looking at. But I actually didn't take anything with this game.
Okay, cool. But hey, that's a good that's part of this. Like we were talking about, part of it is just try to give people good information, and you do that with your site too, right? And then people do whatever they do with it. So it's part of what I love about, honestly, about how you do what you do, is you're trying to help people understand things better, which is what I like to try to do as well. So
right on, man.
All right, well, let's move on to the next one. We got the Jazz at the Rockets. This has gotten out of freaking control. Utah's minus 15 now.
Nope.
229. I see you shaking your head. I'll shake mine too. But anything on this game for you?
I'm not touching a single Rockets game, props, spread, money line for the rest of the season. I have no idea what that team is. I have no idea. I don't know. I'm not touching it.
Yeah. So for me, it's easy enough to say a spread of minus 15 I won't touch, even though the Jazz absolutely can win this game by more than 15. But yeah, I won't touch it.
They're up 30 in the fourth quarter, and all the subs come in, and all of a sudden all the guys trying to play for a spot, and it's a 12-point.
Exactly. No, that's why I can't do it.
You can't do it.
And then on the total here, the thing that keeps, this is one of those things, I don't know if other people feel this way, but I find myself fighting this sense that I think because the Rockets give up a lot of points, I feel like they score a lot of points too, but they actually don't. They're not a great scoring team most of the time. And so I feel like in a game like this, you're kind of counting on Utah to score 225-ish.
Yeah.
And they can, but I don't want to count on
125-ish, right?
No, 225, man. The Rockets are only scoring 4 points. No, absolutely. Yes. 125. That's a good catch. So yeah, it's a stay away for me. Stay away from it.
And it's a Rockets team that's frustrating too, because you look and that they have a couple of guys that have shown, like Christian Wood, I want to bet on all the time, but it's like you look back, this guy can't stay consistent. Like Kevin Porter Jr. has shown a lot of flashes at times too, but still can't stay consistent. Even Jalen Green, or I feel like early in the season was having some crazy games, hasn't been doing much lately, but no, they're just really bad. I think they have to be the worst team in the NBA, right? Like, and you at that point you can't bet on them, obviously, and you really can't bet on the team playing against them because the spread's going to be so high, and you don't even know, like prop wise, you don't even know who's going to be playing in the fourth quarter. So no, I can't touch it.
All right, we're both off of this one. Well, let's move on then to the Kings at the Pelicans.
Yes,
Pelicans are minus 6.5, 233. I have a little more interest here. How about you?
Yeah, so like again, I don't think I said this at all. I tend to not bet a whole lot of spreads or outcomes in general. I tend to stay towards the props. That's kind of what I know. To me, you said it's 6.5.
Yeah, 6.5.
6.5 seems like too much to me, is what I'll say. Like, let me find it. I think the Kings could end up like the more they play together, De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis and a pick and roll, when they actually do it, like it seems unguardable to me. Like I don't know how they're not just running that every time down the court. CJ McCollum has been a good ad for the Pelicans. Brandon Ingram is a solid player for sure. I don't know. I would lean towards Kings covering just because I don't think the Pelicans are that good. I don't think that spread should be that high, but I'll let you talk to the totals a little bit more.
Yeah, so I actually, and I haven't bet this yet. I wish it was like 4.5. But I actually do like the Pelicans here. And this is one of the teams I'm actually pretty positive on moving forward. I think CJ McCollum's a really good fit for them with what they do. And one of the other things I really like is that they've been playing Jackson Hayes a lot. So you talked about the pick and roll with Fox and Sabonis, which absolutely is a devastating pick and roll. And I think if Valanciunas had to play Sabonis in the pick and roll, that would be a no-go. But Jackson Hayes, I'm not saying he's a phenomenal defender, but he's at least a lot more athletic and I think able to switch off a little bit better. And so to be better in that kind of situation. Now, Sabonis, when he's had a lot lower usage since he came to Sacramento, actually, especially on the interior, when he gets the touches, he's been phenomenal still. Sacramento's another one of these teams that's just so up and down. Like they're a team that on a given night could beat almost anyone for one game, but then they're going to lose to them the next 5. I just don't think they're going to put together any runs. And now looking at the Pelicans, especially their starting lineup, I think it's really, really solid and well constructed. Now, Sacramento, like one of the key matchups here is recently since Sabonis came, this is just the last few games, Sacramento's been number 4 in points in the paint, but the Pelicans have been number 6 defending it recently as well, too. So I think they match up okay in that specific one. The other thing I'm interested in here potentially is another team total over, which is the Pelicans. The Kings don't tend to play tons of defense. And the Pelicans, since McCollum came, one of their worst games offensively was they scored 109 points against Memphis, but they shot 15.4% from three-point range in that game 4 games ago, and they still scored 109.
Memphis isn't a horrible, I don't know that off top. Memphis doesn't seem like a horrible defensive team. Right?
No, definitely not. They're pretty good. Yeah. And that's where I say, like, if you told me a team shot 15.4% from three-point range and asked me how many points they'd scored, I would have said probably under 100, you know, and it was still 109. So I just think New Orleans has been playing well offensively. I haven't bet this yet, so I'm not saying I have, but that's just the stuff that I would like in this game, if anything.
And at 6.5, I would lean Sacramento. If it was at 4.5, or really, I think it should be at more closer to 4.5. Personally,
yeah, I think so too.
I don't make.
I agree with that.
If it was at 4.5, I think I would agree with you for sure on New Orleans.
No, I can agree.
6.5 just seems like too much to me, man.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But like you said, Domas really his whole career has been either nuts or in foul trouble or not existent. Right. I think Fox honestly has flashes of that too. Like on any given night can look like one of the better point guards in the league, and then all of a sudden, you know, he disappears for a couple games in a row. So you know, again, two teams, I think both with losing records by a lot. So you're kind of asking for trouble if you take this game in general. 6.5, I think I would stay away.
Yeah.
If it gets any more, for sure, I think I would jump on Sacramento. If it drops by any chance, I think I'd be on the Pelicans with you.
Yeah. What about props for this one? Anything there?
Yeah, I'm on CJ tonight, actually.
Okay.
So like you said, I do think CJ fits the Pelicans offense really well. I do like that they've moved him to point guard really recently, at least primary ball handler or whatever. Point guard, shooting guard, it doesn't really exist anymore. But
right,
you know, he is doing most of the primary ball handling, distributing. He's averaging 28 points, I think it looks like, in the 7 games since he's gotten to New Orleans. One of those was a 15-point a game in his first game there, where he still shot 24 times, I think. Yeah, or 21 times, sorry. So went 6 to 21, 15 points happens, right?
Yeah.
But his volume has also kind of exploded since he's gotten there. Not exploded, but it's been way up there. He's averaging over 20 shots a game. And Sacramento has not been guarding point guards well at all. They're scoring 8 more than their average since Domas got to Sacramento. So I got CJ 25. I think his line was 25.5. I always buy the hook there. Because I've just been burned. It was like 25.5 for close to even money. I took 1.5 units on CJ 25 plus at minus 128, which I think is really good value. Yeah. And he's missed that twice since getting to New Orleans. Again, one of those games was that 15-point game, his first night there. And then Toronto, which is kind of a slower paced, grinded out kind of team, he got 23 against. But oh shit, yeah. Also against the Lakers, it was a blowout and nobody was playing fourth quarter and nobody cared. But
yeah, He's been 30 plus in all the other ones too, I would say.
Yeah.
Like the others haven't been close. So you named the 3 where he didn't get there.
Yep.
And I will say too, I remember reading, and it could be excuses, although I actually feel like McCollum's a pretty stand-up guy.
Yeah.
And
I like CJ.
And he talked about how in that first game with the Pelicans, it had been such a whirlwind emotionally, and he got there late and just felt like he didn't have his legs. And so I'm willing to, I mean, if it truly is one game, I'll give you a pass and say, yeah, that probably is what happened. And it feels like that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, I love CJ tonight. Like even from a pure volume standpoint, like I was saying, like if you're taking 20 shots a night, which he is, you have to have a really bad night to not score 25, especially when he can light it up from 3 like he can at times. Man. So I don't know what the odds are right now. Let me check real quick. He's still at 25.5 for -104. So pretty much even money. So, you know, he's -130 for 25 plus. I just feel like that's too low of a line, and that's too good of a value to pass up on CJ tonight.
Yeah.
In a game that I think really, you know, should be close, no matter what happens.
Exactly.
This game should be close, should be competitive, all the way through. It should be fun to watch, actually, even though they're 2 bad teams. So, yeah, I'm all over CJ tonight.
Yeah, man, I love that. So I'm just betting it right now. While we're talking. Just talking through this, man, I just really like that spot, and I think you bring up a lot of great points about the volume and stuff as well. Which is a big deal. Next
to matchup. So I the first thing I look at for anybody watching, when evaluating props, is the matchup, and then kind of 2 and 2A. Next 2 things I'm looking at are the pace and the volume. And with volume like that on CJ, you just have to take it with a line that low, in my opinion.
Makes a ton of sense. I love it, man. I think that's a great spot. All right, next up, we got the Thunder at the Nuggets, another line that's just gotten crazy. I will say that the Thunder have pretty much everyone out, like Dort, Giddey, Jerome, Robinson, Earl, Wiggins, Williams, all out.
They got shy, though, man.
Well, right. They have shy, and that's about it. And I know he's going to score like 40 plus whatever, but they're going to have to score more than that to win. Anyway, Denver -14.5 and 226 total.
Dude, I was tweeting about the Thunder earlier today. Like they're obviously a bad basketball team. They're still going to be a pretty bad basketball team when they get Giddey and Dort back. But I think, you know, Shai is a hell of a ball player, man. Like I think there's like 3 to 5 guys in the NBA that have a chance at stopping him from doing what he wants to do. And he can kind of just take over games. So I think especially when they get Dort and Giddey back, I think they're going to be a covering machine. I still think 14.5 is too many points here for me. Again, I don't bet spreads, but 14.5 would be a little too much for me, because I think Shai is going to get 30. He can take over the game, and I really think he can almost single-handedly give them a chance in any game and keep a lot of games closer than they should be. But as soon as they get Dort back and Giddey, I think they're going to surprise a lot of people, and I think there's going to be a lot of value in OKC to cover the rest of the season.
Yeah, I definitely am with that. And I've been on Oklahoma City when they've had a big plus number in terms of spread earlier, but I just think when they're down to just one guy, basically, I mean, I'm not betting the spread.
Don't
hear me wrong,
man.
You can't. When it gets
it.
over 10, I tend to not bet it, so I'm not.
You can't bet Denver at 14.5.
Like, just looking at the numbers, I do definitely like Denver here. Denver's been playing really well lately. And Oklahoma City has not, one of their big things has been playing well defensively, but they've given up 112 or more in 5 straight games and 120 or more in 3 straight. And I just think Denver is the kind of team that can take advantage of that. They've scored 115 or more in 5 straight games. Oklahoma City allows the 5th most rebounds of any team this year. And so I think that for Jokic, I mean, looking potentially at another triple-double here, which I know he does relatively frequently. And I'll let you speak to that because, again, I don't do a lot of player props, but just saying I think it's not a bad matchup for him. And I think that Denver has a number of things they can do offensively where Oklahoma City is basically limited to Shai and what he can do, which he will do some stuff. I'm with you. Denver's not going to shut him down. I think this definitely could be a Denver blowout. I'm definitely not betting it at that number. But what I did do is I did bet the over in this game. because Oklahoma City's actually been scoring a little bit more lately. And I think Denver gets 115 plus here. And I think likely even 120. So I do like the over in this game. And who knows, maybe Oklahoma City goes back to scoring 98 points and then it's screwed.
Yeah.
But, that's the part that's hard to trust. But I just think they're better offensively with Shai, and they haven't been great defensively recently. So
yeah, and like you said, you cannot bet on the Nuggets to cover 14.5. Like you can't bet on any team against any other team to cover that many points, in my opinion. The stat I'm trying to find, I was hoping you were going to stall a little bit longer for me.
I could if you want me to.
So yeah, I mean, if I have no idea. Like I said, if gun to my head and I'm picking a spread, I would probably lean Thunder if I had to, just because I think 14.5 is too many points for any game, and I think Shai has the ability, like I said, to keep them in pretty much any of these games.
Do you like props for him at all?
I do, and that's what I'm freaking looking for, because I usually do like full write-ups with stats and graphs and everything on my props. I posted this one for Shai earlier today, and see, they played the Pacers Friday. Here we go, finally. My data, my website doesn't really support this. Like, it's not a great matchup for point guards against Denver. But really the stat I'm looking at, I ended up taking just for 0.25 Shai for 30 plus, because looking at like an on-off comparison. So what does Shai do with Lu Dort on the floor versus with Lu Dort off the floor? I took him Friday night against the Is that when they played the Pacers? I think it was.
I'd have to look.
I'm pretty sure it was. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
So when Shai and Dort are on the floor together, Shai scores 29 points which is 29 points per 100 possessions, which is pretty solid. With Lu Dort off the floor, that jumps to 41.2.
Holy cow!
So that's a bananas differential. Yeah, and that, like, I've looked at hundreds of on-off comparisons. I've never seen a jump like that for just one player. And like it even, I wanted to take Darius Bazley. I don't even know how to say his last name, Bazley, today. But you look at what he's been doing since Shai came back, and he's getting he's getting like 3 shots a game or something. Whatever reason, Lu Dort not on the floor, Shai just completely dominates the ball and dominates the shots.
Wow.
Shai's also been back for, I think, three games, and has not been under 30, has not taken less than like 200 shots. So I didn't see a whole lot of value just in his straight line, but because I feel like if he scores 26, he's going to score 30. So you might as well get like the plus 160 or whatever it was earlier for him to score 30. So I took that for 0.25 would have taken it for more if the data would have supported it at all from my website. But I'm auto betting Shai 30 plus until Dort comes back. Pretty much.
I love it. And it's plus 165 right now. So, I mean, you got to love that spot. It's a great one. All right. So I will just, the one other thing I'll throw in here is these are the things, I haven't done as much live betting lately, but if I get the chance to watch games, I will pay attention to some of these spreads and totals with what I liked, because they move so much in the NBA. But this is a game where it's so wide, it would be hard for me to imagine getting on it. So
I could definitely see the Thunder jumping out to an early lead and like even leading, halfway through the second quarter. And if that's happening and you get the Nuggets close to even, they might not even be even money at that point if they're down 5 or 10.
They got to get down like 10 to 15 probably.
Yeah, but even still, if you can get the Nuggets live sometime in the second quarter to cover, I don't know, 8, 9, something like that, I think maybe that's worth looking at.
Yeah.
But 14.5 is too much for me to like the Nuggets.
Agreed.
But
agreed.
Shai 30 plus.
30. I love it. Well, on to the last game, which is Booker's out now, so it's a different animal. Blazers at Suns. Phoenix is -11, and the total's 224. You got anything for this one?
I'm staying away from this game entirely. Just looking at it, like, and looking who Phoenix is going to be running out there tonight. Like, I'm kind of wondering where the offense is going to come from. Aiton is completely hit or miss. Either is not playing basketball or, getting 20 and 15. Jay Crowder, not really that big of a threat to score. And Mikhail McCall, I always say his name wrong too. Also kind of hit or miss. Payne looks like he might be back, so maybe that helps them. I don't even really know who Landry Shamet is. So I'm wondering where that offense is coming from. And looking at a Portland team with Anthony Simons, who is looking like he might be a guy, and Josh Hart playing pretty well, being the number one, number two scoring option for the first time in his career in Portland. And to me, just gut feeling, it looks like 11.5 is too many points for the Suns to cover tonight. But I don't have anything official on this game.
Yeah, and I'm not going to throw in much here either. This is pretty much a stay away for me. When one guy sits out, like, when Chris Paul goes out, it actually, in the short term, makes me almost like Phoenix better. It seems like teams step up and play really well.
And also the lines over adjust there at times
and
too.
Right. Yeah. But then Booker goes, I'm with you. It's hard to know where it comes from. I will say, not being a player prop guy, like, I don't know, but Landry Shamet, he's a shooter, and they're going to need people to shoot. His point total is 7.5. So it's really low if he's going to get a lot of minutes. And then what was the other one? I wonder about Cam Johnson. Like, when I think about the Suns, it feels like Cam Johnson is a guy who can get his own shot a little bit, even though when everybody's healthy, he's posting up behind the 3-point line a lot of the time.
Right.
His point total's all the way up at 17.5. So that's probably a lot, but
yeah,
I'm just with you. This game feels so hard to know what to do with it. So I stayed away from this one completely.
Yeah. I wanted to like Simon's points. That's a really good matchup for point guards against Phoenix. Maybe not quite as much with Booker really playing the one when he's healthy, but the line on Simons earlier was like 23.5, and I couldn't pull the trigger. I have been all over Josh Hart since coming to Portland. I think his lines are gonna need to adjust before they start to lose their value. I didn't like the matchup really tonight with Crowder or Bridges on him.
Yeah, they're tough defenders, man.
Yeah, but Hart is definitely somebody to look at going forward, because his lines have been like 14.5, 15.5, and he's taking like a 20 shot, not 20 shots. He's taking a lot of shots, as next to Simons is really the only other. You look at Drew Eubanks and CJ Ellaby and Keon Johnson. It's like, Simons or Hart have to be scoring the ball, or they're not scoring the ball.
Yeah.
I didn't take anything on this game tonight, man.
Totally. Well, we end with a little bit of a dud, but that's all right. Dude, this was super fun. I love doing this. I love the data that you're bringing to the table. It's fun to even, for me, like looking at sides and totals more, and then to talk player props, because really there is crossover too.
Yeah,
right?
For
like,
sure.
When you're thinking about one, you're kind of thinking about the other, because you're looking at stuff that relates. So really fun.
I'll be back anytime you ask, man.
Awesome, dude. We'll do it for sure. So hey, hopefully most people know we've talked about it a little, but just recap where people can find you. And then everybody go find him once he tells you.
Right on. So I'm at Degen Eli on Twitter. So DEGEN ELI. Website with all the data I've been talking through is Degen Analytics. I should have went with a name that was a little bit easier to spell, but I had
to look it up today.
It's a cool as hell name though. So Degen, DEGNELYTICS.com. Going through all those. I call them a difference from average, or a points to average, rebounds to average matchups. But yeah, come say hi. I try to answer all my DMs. And anybody that tweets me, a parlay or a pick, they're like, I'll give my thoughts on anything to anybody, or just kind of general gambling advice, because you probably lost a lot of money your first year to doing this, because gambling is really hard. So just really want to try to spread as much of the knowledge and things I've learned the hard way in the last couple of years. Same thing that you're doing. So yeah, come say hey. Feel free to ask questions. Whatever. Let's win some money.
Yeah. Please do. So, I said this earlier, but I think for me, the thing that I enjoy I enjoy the gambling, but I enjoy putting together good information, and I enjoy the people that I tend to follow the most and check in on the most on Twitter now are the other people who are doing that.
Yeah.
Because I learn too. So just have to say you're awesome at that, and the other people that you work with and are talking to, awesome at that. So do go check them out. One thing I'm going to throw out, guys, is if this is something that's beneficial, really happy you tune in on Twitter or whatever, but this is available as a podcast when it happens as well. And sometimes I know for me, it's easier to just like have that download automatically. So if it's good, go check out the podcast and maybe download that too. An easy way to get it as it's coming out. We try to do it most days of the week, but sometimes work or other things get in the way. But we'll definitely run this back before too long. So thanks again for coming on. Have a good night, everybody. Let's go make some money tonight. So,
thanks.
All right. Have a good night.